Hi, everybody. Welcome. My name is Marty McPhee, and I've got two guest gentlemen here today. We've got Bryan Krahn and Mike Doehla. Thanks for coming, guys. What we're going to do is we're going to talk today about coaching and just things we see right and things we see wrong in assessing diet in the online space. So, Mike, if people don't know you yet, let's give a little bit of intro for yourself, please.
Yeah, my name is Mike Doehla. I'm born and raised in Newburgh, New York. I am the founder and CEO of an online nutrition company called Stronger You. We try to help as many people as we can from all around the world. Just try to figure out this really confusing and frustrating diet situation.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, you've done wonderful things. You've been in business how long now?
Just over 4 years.
Yeah, just over 4 years, and you've built up to multi 15-figure business. Just kidding, but you've helped a lot of people get jobs too. You've helped nutrition get out there into the world, and I think everything you guys are doing is pretty damn awesome. And so, Bryan, give a little blurb about yourself too. What have you been doing for a while?
Well, what have I been doing for a while?
You
I
coach
started
a little
as
bit, don't you?
here and there.
Yeah.
I started holding a clipboard when I was 21,
Yeah.
and then I graduated to fitness assessing, and then I did sales, and then I got out of the industry entirely, and I got an English degree, and I got a journalism degree, and then I went right back into fitness, and then I started personal training a lot more, worked with some teams, got into working with more corporate dudes. Older I got, the older my clientele got. And my wife has been in school forever, and then she had to go to New York to specialize, so I went with her, and that kind of killed my personal training. But it exploded my online. Well, exploded. Well, we'll talk about that. It got me into online. And haven't looked back. It's been cool.
Cool. And just in case anyone doesn't really know too much about myself, I've been coaching now for 11 years. Started out just like Bryan, personal trainer for a bit, and then got into online contest prep coaching and kind of, I would say right down the middle between lifestyle coaching and contest prep coaching, specializing kind of in girls. Just, I don't know what it was, man. It was the whole coaching thing and the empathetic thing and just how much they would respond more than men kind of gravitated me towards that. And that's what I'm doing now. So, yeah, we'll kind of kick that off with, we talked right about the beginning there, people, how they kind of don't really stay in their lane when it comes to coaching. I know that you have quite a bit that you could say on that, Mike.
Yeah, I think, I don't know, it's a lot of people get into this field, and I know this is the case for me, where we got into it because we wanted to help a lot of people. And a lot of times we forget that they come to us for nutrition or fitness stuff, and it kind of carries over to some lifestyle stuff. But we have to be really careful with what we touch on and what we don't. Mm-hmm. And I think, a lot of clients I know in our world dealing with a lot of Gen Pop, they bring a lot of their personal, I don't want to say issues, but personal, I guess, challenges to our coaching. And we never want to really be therapists, but we want to listen. We don't want to diagnose things, like, specifically eating disorders and stuff like that. Because a lot of this is really deep rooted. There's a lot of stories where people are like, my mom shamed me while I was growing up. Every time I think of food, or every time I'm eating around her, she has something to say about my weight. And that's really, really hard stuff for us to deal with. And we have to be really careful about that.
Yeah, the whole that you're a therapist is kind of it. Like, I just remember seeing one of those memes or whatever. It said, what you do as a coach, and it's like, what my mom thinks I do is like save the world. What I really do is you're an armchair psychologist for the most part, right? Just listening to people. But it is. I think there's a lot to be said on that. And I like to say that in a lot of my clients' assessments too, is that this is basically a glorified journal when you're doing your assessments, right? And journaling is one of the best forms of we'll say stress relief or whatever. Like, how many do, like that Atomic Habits book and everything else, you see journal every day because it will help you can sort out your own problems through even doing it that way. But then I always say, I'm a neutral party that doesn't know your family or doesn't know your friends, that is here to listen to you and to potentially, if I know a piece of advice that I've heard from over the years coaching, which I know both of you have, I will give it to them, right? And there's a big difference between that and then versus saying like, I'm going to fix your bulimia, or I'm going to fix your deep rooted problems that your mom you can't eat around. Like, that's just not going to happen. What do you think on that, Bryan?
Well, no, because I have a lot of education in that before this career, I approach with a lot of trepidation, because you do not. There's one thing to being a sounding board for someone, because especially a lot of women, they don't communicate often well with their spouses, and so you're the guy in their life if that's they could like download stuff onto, but you have to be careful because that's a huge responsibility, and like people go to school to learn these skills. Like I highly recommend anybody who's a trainer go into therapy. I mean, like it is. I'm a bit of a therapy geek. I do it a couple times a year because it just makes me so much sharper. Because I get my own baggage, and I'm just like, it's like that movie, was it Limitless, where you take the pill and your brain works better?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. To me, that's what it's like. I'm just so much more incisive. So getting back to the point, though, you can let your client listen to their problems and sound off, but you have to remember that you're just a trainer.
Yeah.
And you have to always kind of frame things like get the professional help, or just teach them to distill all that stuff going on to their head, like into the workout, like put into perspective.
I think too, because we have such a lot of power. You have to think. We start. The client starts out. Of course, they're going to get the newbie results or whatever. Let's say they're overweight, or let's even say they're not. They just clean it up, and now they're seeing all the success that they attribute to yourself and to our plans as coaches. And then before you know it, they have that trust. So you can't abuse that trust, because if you do, like, and that's when we get the Dunning-Kruger effect, like we said. Then all of a sudden you think you could save the world. You think you're He-Man, Superman, and before you know it, you're trying to solve their relationship issues.
Yeah, it's such an easy trap to fall into, and one of the biggest mistakes, especially an in-person trainer, one of the biggest mistakes you can make is you're just thinking because you spend 3-4 hours a week with this very high-level person that you I don't know, that you're on par with them, and now that you're like indispensable, that you have this, the skill set that they can't get anywhere. It's just you, and that's just not true.
Well, we think, like you guys said, we can solve all problems, and I think, I don't want to deter people from listening and inviting conversation. I think it's all about the diagnosis, trying to actually fix those things.
Oh yeah, it's like if you were to have someone and they say to you that they're feeling this way and then they're feeling that way, and you go, "Oh, I'm pretty sure you're bipolar."
Yeah.
Who are we to say this, right? Yeah. Like, I don't know. Yeah, I would say that would be one of the mistakes that I've made when I was younger. I call it young man syndrome. I was telling you guys before we started, is that, like I had a little bit of that when I was 21, 22, thinking I was Superman, and that I could give a little bit of advice there. And I did. I had a train wreck of a lady that was not only anorexic but bulimic, and I thought I could help her, and it was outside of the scope of my practice. And I'm glad, like, nothing severe in it happening in terms of her being in remission or whatever, but I thought that things were going good, and of course she was lying about things because that was classically how she dealt with things. But then that was such a damn good wake-up call for me, because I was like, okay, Marty, you don't know everything. You're never going to know let alone this isn't that's not my arena, and I should not be having my hat in there.
Yeah, we even have certain protocols, like we have like warning signs of these things.
Exactly. Yeah,
sure. And how to follow, like what steps to take, and a lot of it is about referring out and trying to get professional help, and that's typically a hard conversation to have because people don't want to feel like anything is wrong, but they should understand that these things are okay and they're common, and we can do things to get through them. And step one is talking about it, not necessarily with us, but with the professional.
Yeah, like a really good in-person coach who's humble and really, really good, he'll have he or she will have like a network of pros that they refer out to, like for soft tissue, massage and chiropractor and ART and blah blah blah. But, in that list should be mental health providers.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So I mean that's the best, or the key skill of someone who's a trainer is they're kind of like that front line where they're getting all the data and they can sort of, I suspect you might benefit from seeing this person, as opposed to going that horrible giant leap and playing doctor.
Well, one of the things you just said there, Mike, is that it's a hard conversation to have. Is what my tactics been for that over the years is to kind of do, I don't know what I would call it, proper questioning, or like critical thinking questioning, like as in if you know that they probably would benefit from some kind of therapy, just bring them to that, make them come to that realization, as opposed to you saying, I think you would benefit from therapy. Be like, have you ever known anyone that's gotten therapy, or like as they think, like, have you ever considered this, or even I'll talk about my own therapy, like just like Bryan, I could not tell you the skill set that it's given, like not only myself, but then I can pick up on things, like you said yourself, Mike, like now over the years of coaching, you can now see this stuff coming, whereas before you didn't, right? But yeah, that would definitely be one of the things, is like, yeah, it's never, I think the quote is, it's never the answers you're given, it's always the questions you're asked in life, and that will pretty much lead you there.
Yeah.
I think that's a lot of, what our coaching is generally, is trying to figure out what question is actually answered. And I'm probably going off topic now, but, a lot of people ask, like, what do you think of protein shakes? It's like, well, why are you asking? What's the reason that you're curious about protein shakes?
Mm-hmm.
Because depending on that is going to determine which way we go with this question or this answer.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. People, or obviously, anytime there's a morality attached to it, like if it's veganism or whatever, why are you vegetarian? Why are you vegan? It's how you like to eat. Okay. Is because you think it's better for the planet. Okay. That's a different ideology. So it's not being judgmental. It's just knowing where they're coming from. And yeah.
Well, there's a huge difference between fitting in and belonging. Like I remember, I forget where I was reading about this stuff, but it's like when people will put on, they will have a member card to the Keto Society. They'll have a member to the Vegan Society or to the Paleo Society, wherever. But that, and they treat that like their identity, and that's a little bit, not to ruffle too many feathers here, but that's a little bit silly, only for the fact that you don't identify in that regard. Like, that's super cool that you're doing it for your health or for whatever just cause that you like, but it is just like being so, I don't want to say adherent, but being so extremist or even fanatic about this stuff, that now you believe that this is the only way to be healthy, the only way to lose fat, the only way to build muscle, is just so not it. The perfect diet is the one that will work for you. Like you said, Mike, like, why are they asking about the protein shake? Is it because they're trying to supplement their diet with protein, or are they because they heard it was the best muscle building thing on the planet, or what's the point of them asking that, right?
I've had so many women say, well, someone at work told me if I have a protein shake, I'm going to gain weight. And we're like, well, let's figure out where that thought may be coming from. Yep. Could it just be you're increasing overall calories, or the protein shake you have is one of those mass gainer ones, and this person had experience with that and she gained 5 pounds? I don't know. So we have to figure that out.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and that's the proper education at the time it's needed is something that we need to be very aware of too. It's called the information dump, where basically if you kind of give someone everything, you tell them what shoulder abduction is, you tell them what leg extension is, they not only do they not need to know that, but that's going to overwhelm the living heck out of them. Like, it's stuff that we would consider easy. Like, I know that looking at a banana is 30 carbs. That's just me because I've been doing it for so damn long, right? But now the average person, they're going to ask you, is banana a carb? And yeah, they need to know that is a carb, because they don't know that. Like, how many years did Weight Watchers put out that fruit and vegetables are the same, and have, like, they can be treated the same and have like the same calories? I'm like, unlimited fruit.
I think eggs are on their free list now. Like I know a lot of people that could crush a dozen eggs, and you're going to say those are 0 points? Or chicken? Like, what chicken? Breast?
Yeah.
Thigh? Yeah. People will start, they'll graduate, or they'll evolve their thinking. They'll say, well, okay, a chicken breast is free, but now I'm going to go out for wings with my friends. Mm-hmm. They have 30 wings. That's terrible. So that's why, like, I think Weight Watchers is a good overall program. Like, it teaches, not all food is good or bad. Some make sense, some doesn't. But I think it needs to be a little more precise.
They've evolved quite a bit, like, since their point system. Like, now I know they do, like, it's either something still points, but they do base it off macronutrients now, which is great. And they've cleaned it up too. They no longer have the fruits and vegetables, I think, in there, or at least they put fruits over with carbohydrates. But that's my bigger issue with a lot of those bigger companies, is that they don't really teach you anything. And that's it. Like, that's what I find, that a lot of our job is educating in the correct manner. Like you said, I love that you said graduated, because that's exactly it, is that you will have certain pieces of information until you go, okay, I've got this down. I now know here's what a carbohydrate is, here's what a fat, here's what a protein is. Now I can go, okay, and then Bryan and I were talking about this. We're out at the poke bowl place, and like, okay, you can see that salmon is fat plus protein. Then you can see that like a leaner tuna is just protein, and then you can kind of know that stuff, and that's such a beneficial thing if you're out somewhere and you're trying to be social. You can now have these skills or these tools in your toolbox, whereas you would have never had before, or just because you've been following keto or your best friend's been following keto, and now you just think all carbs are bad. But now do you even know that fruit and vegetables are a carb? Like if
you have to keep your eyes open while you're doing this stuff. Like, and that's what, I don't give a crap if someone has really good results in 12 weeks. I want to know what happens way later. And I know it's like the most cliche thing in the world with what we do is like, it's not about what they do with us. It's about what they take when they're done with us. But a lot of people will crush it for 12 weeks. They'll measure food. They'll log in MyFitnessPal, but they'll essentially have their eyes closed. They won't know how many carbs are actually in a bagel or a banana or chicken breast or steak or whatever. And that's like so damn important.
Yeah.
Or Marty, they're at the end of their prep and they come up to you and they go, I just want to maintain this.
Yeah, they're at 1 week out and they go, you know what? This is where I'd like to sit for the next 12 years.
Yeah, those now. Body don't.
Realistic goals and like realistic expectations is something that a coach should definitely be putting out there too. Like, I'm amazed we haven't seen like a 10-day challenge, a 7-day challenge, a 4-day fix or whatever, right? I remember back in the day, like SNL was making fun of 7-minute abs. They're like, we now have 6-minute abs. We'll give you everything those 7-minute guys got in a minute back, and it's just being outrageous. And these challenges, like, what are they teaching you, right? I
hate challenges so much. I hate them. Oh my god, I get so wound up about them. When I see like another gym that's doing some nutritional challenge, I'm like, you're just fueling the fire of bullshit.
Well, and then when they offer the reward at the end, go ahead, Bryan.
Yeah. Like so many of my colleagues do them, and they encourage me to do them. Oh, you got to do this, these client challenges. I'm
Sales tactics. I get it. We have to balance that side of it too. But yeah.
Well, I know, but. You need tactics in a business, especially an internet business. You need these tactics because they work and they bring in traffic. And fuck, if I did it, I might actually make money. But
yeah,
so I'm fully aware of it. But I'm noticing that it is starting to cross into how these people care for their clients, like just the way they communicate on social media. All this positioning as a guru and as an authority, So. I think you have to keep the tactics in their place. Like once you start treating your client like a tactic,
Oh yeah, or a number or a dollar sign, which is even the worst thing, right? Like Mike, you said something really good before we even started here. Was you need to actually know about nutrition before you know about business. You know what I mean? Like actually be damn good at the job first before you start. Learn it first, right? Like the amount of we'll say coaches, and I'm air quoting here, ladies and gentlemen, is kind of astronomical that they're not only so young, but like, and don't get me wrong, I was a young coach too, but you can do. I did my precision nutrition, I think, when I was 21, and that's cool, whatever. But are you able to coach someone efficiently with such little information, such as like Facebook articles? I doubt it. You know what I mean? Like you got to have some kind of way to educate yourself first in that arena before you move on to business advice or coaching.
It's so crazy to me that like people that just kind of figured out this fitness thing may have had like a semi-successful one-hit wonder of an offering, and then they go out and try to tell everyone else how to run their business.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, you would get laughed out of a room in any real corporation. You don't know shit. You don't know shit other than what you read in a couple cliche business books that everybody read. And then you just teach everybody else it. It's like, that's only, they may be successful. They may get some people in their masterminds for $1,000 a month, but they're going to have to come out with something else in another 2 years when everyone learns that it's bullshit.
Well, Mike,
see, I hate this stuff. So,
Mike, but you're from a real business world. So most of these guys are. So imagine if I pitched you when you were still in banking. Imagine if I pitched you like, "Hey, Mike, we got this round table of fellow banker guys, and and it costs $50,000 to sit at this table, but you'll make it back 10 times over. So You want to join you'd be like, fuck, this is a pyramid scheme.
Yeah, exactly. I'd be like, what? No, man, I don't get this. I'll just talk to like the bosses over here and the people above them and see what advice they have.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I would say probably the biggest part in my side of things, the competitive side for that, is that someone has hired a coach and it's gotten them in shape. They've won a show or not, regardless, and now all of a sudden they're a coach solely based upon the premise. And the analogy I like to use is that's like me going and buying a Lamborghini and someone saying, "Hey man, can you make a Lamborghini for me?"
Yep.
I just bought it and I just drove it. I don't know anything about how to make it. But in that situation, or what's worse is when people will take their plans that their coach has given them and give that exact plan to a friend, or start monetizing that. It happens.
You're not going to believe this, but I literally just got a message about this. Mm-hmm. Someone just did that to us. A client of ours that's selling their coaching with all of our fun materials. So. Yeah, it happens all the time. And it's really cool to see like coaches trying to get in this field and help people, but don't be a shithead about it. Do your own thing, man. Like you don't know what we know after 12 weeks.
No. And that's what there's a big difference between a coaching relationship and then a mentor relationship. Like I've hired more bodybuilding coaches than I care to share to remember before I even started to put people on stage, because I didn't know the systems. I didn't know any of that. And then how I did it was the front desk girl at the gym that I was working at the time in 2011 was thinking about doing a bikini show. And I said, you know what? I will coach you for free. This is my first time. And you're going to be like a test drive. Is that cool? She goes, yeah, no problem. And then that's by screwing up and whatever, it brought me to the point of getting better at that stuff. Right. And then you kind of wield it as you go. But that it was being very transparent with that. Like I see a little bit, almost too much of that, or you're a diet coach, and then before you know it, you're giving people programs off of bodybuilding.com, and now you're a training coach. Like that's so insulting to people like Bryan that's their arena, is building training programs that are deadly and perfect, right?
Yeah. Yeah, but it's so funny though. Nothing I do, I invented. I've invented some things, but none of them work. Like everything I do that works is something I haven't invented.
The Krahn press was not that good of an idea.
You'd have to have an erection for it to work, and that's not always.
Yeah, that pre-workout Viagra never really panned out for you in your magic secret supplement book. Yeah.
Yeah, the injectable Cialis, you have to inject it. Anyway, like everything that works was invented like 100 years ago.
Yeah.
So, like,
it's all just repackaged somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the skill is figuring out what plan works for the current person and making whatever modifications and learning how to progress it. It's like it's certainly not rocket science. It's just delicate tweaks.
Like actually coaching, which is I think the thing that people don't understand. And this is what I see with a lot of new coaches in the field is someone will pay them and they'll be like, Mike, why don't they follow what I say? I'm like, that's just not how this always works. You gotta figure that out. Because if they could just do everything, they would have already been doing everything. Yeah,
that is the hardest part of mine and probably Marty's job too. Is just getting that buy-in and just getting them to follow. Because I don't want a robot. I want a little bit of like mental engagement, but you don't want the opposite either. Like just.
There's enough apps like Avatar. You can even go to Google and type in macro calculator, and I guarantee you something decent's going to come up that, if you follow, would work. But you can't Google a coach. That's one of my buddies said that years ago, and you just can't Google a coach. You can't Google someone that is going to be able to navigate you through that like a GPS and show you where the roadblocks are, show you where the detours are, because that's going to happen. What's it that diagram, like what people think success is like, and it's a straight line up, and it's really backwards and falling into lava, and Mario dies, and you got to use Game Genie because you're sucking so hard to jump over the flying fish, and
it's a completely different game than anyone thinks. And that kind of brings us back to our first point, which is like the shit we're going to see in people's lives. It's not go do 3 sets of friggin' 10. It's like, wait, you couldn't do that because of what?
Yeah. Well, it's fitting fitting a client into a box versus making a box for a client is what I think a lot of the coaches miss too. Is like there is like I have people that say, hey, how come I don't work out 7 days a week? And I'll explain why. Or there'll be only people that can work out 3 days a week because of their job. Could they work or should they work out 4? Sure, it's just that's not going to happen because having them be overwhelmed. Like here in Alberta, there's so many guys that will do these like 21 and 3 shifts where they're off for 3 days and they're doing 12-hour work days and they can only work out maybe twice a week and has to be some kind of full body thing tailored to them. And that's ideal for them. That's not optimal for them, but that the coach has to wield that and not, like you said, put them in this bar. They just make this 5-day-a-week program, go, why aren't you following this? And then come to you and ask you, Mike, as the boss, how come this person's not doing this? You take one look at it, go, because you're fucking killing him. You're making him try to do too much. He's not even sleeping 4 hours. And you're expecting him to cook everything, and he's in a camp doing this. It's like, that's coaching, is having these skills, these tools that like, and this is, my mom always said this too, is when because she was an elementary teacher, she goes, here's the wildest thing about teachers' colleges, there's never a course on how to teach.
No, right?
And that's the thing, that there's no, like, there are some decent information and materials out there about learning how to coach, but it's something that has gained over the years. And I'm telling you, if anyone's a newer coach or thinking about being a coach, you are going to screw up, and you're going to screw up lots, and that's okay. Just learn from those screw ups.
Yeah.
I always tell people, like, even when we bring on newish coaches, like, you can't really mess up unless you're an asshole to someone. Yeah. Like, that's the mess up. Nothing is permanent. You know, you give them macros that need to be adjusted down a week later, like, no big deal. Mm-hmm. Not a problem.
I wrote a post a while ago about 2 different really things I used to see, especially when personal training, the drill sergeant versus the cheerleader. And here's the thing, is that neither one of them work very well, let alone for everybody. Like, I think that was like the last 10 pounds with some boot camp dude that was literally from the ex-army, and he'd just be screaming and spitting in people's faces, and some people love that. Most people don't really want to see that, but that's literally why they called it boot camp, because after the army. And then the cheerleader is when you see people do nothing but everything is a rah or so celebrated, or can be so, especially if they're celebrating failures, is just yeah, I can't stand it. Like I would see, you know, like maybe it's me being anti-positivity, but I'd see like someone, we had a trainer, she only lasted I think 3 days at the gym I was working at the time, but like after each set, high five. Like, and like, I get it, like, you know, amp them up, but like, you just see like by the halfway through the session, the girl like that was getting trained was just like not wanting to, because A, it was embarrassing for her, B, it was just not her style at all. And in a coach, you have to adapt your coaching to the client. You're not going to be coaching everyone the same.
Yeah, one of our like corporate values is be a chameleon, because you can't just be the same. Like, if you're a coach that's just a hard ass, like, you're just only going to get through to a certain percentage of people. And those people are like you said, they don't always need a hard ass. Mm-hmm. Sometimes the toughest, meanest dude in the world just needs like a good job, man, I'm proud of you, you know?
Yep.
Yeah, like it never fails to amaze me. Like, I had a 280-pound guy. Honestly, he looked like he was becoming The Rock, slowly but surely.
Nice.
But occasionally he'd send me messages like, hey, man, am I doing okay? And, you know, and just like, you know, just like, I'm not making fun of him, but just like a lot more.
They need reassurance too. I think I talked to a couple of our pretty beefy, manly men coaches over here, and they're like, I honestly think they don't have that like dude social circle. Yeah. And they need it, you know? And they come to us to like make them feel good.
Yep, absolutely. Well, it's the amount of not only a bad contest prep coach can make a pretty girl more insecure than they already need to be, but like prep can do that, period. Because like, you are literally getting on stage in your underwear or a bikini in front of thousands of people potentially, and to be judged entirely upon how you look. Like, one of my quotes is, I've talked more people out of competing than into it, because unless you are ready for that, which I don't think I wasn't ready for it, I'll tell you that. You just don't do something like a photo shoot. Do something that is for you, because competing is just a whole other arena than, we'll say, average weight loss or whatever. But I will tell you that even though on that vein of what we were talking about, is there has never been a time in my career where getting mad or upset or demeaning a client has ever worked. Or telling them they're dumb, or telling them like you screwed up or whatever. It's never ever worked. It's only created a rift between myself and the client, if I've ever even done this. But But here's the scary thing: is that on my intakes, I will get like, if you've had past coaches, what was your experience? You don't need to tell me who it was, but good and bad, tell me what they were, and they'll say I was made fun of. I was told that I'm like just smarten up or kind of whatever. And that gets me, like that riles me up, Mike Doehla style, to the point of just I can't handle it because it's so obnoxious.
It makes no sense to me that those people exist. That they are so. Everybody needs like a customer service class before they become a coach. Yeah. This shit, it's not just about knowing nutrition and fitness stuff. Like, and that's why I honestly think a big part of our industry can't get success in the industry is because a lot of people, this is their only job. They haven't really worked and done anything else, and they don't know how to react when challenges come up or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Well, go ahead, Bryan.
This is a vanity service, so.
Oh yeah.
If you are not extremely polite and even more importantly, professional, punctual, that's more important than being right. Like, you can screw up your recommendations, you can screw up your programming, but at least be professional, be punctual. That's just the cornerstone of respect.
Well, you got to get people to like and trust you, and if they like and trust you, they're going to listen better.
Yeah, I say that they need three things when they're working with a coach to trust in. They need to believe in the coach, they need to believe in the program, and they need to believe in themselves. And if you start pushing yourself away as a coach, or you start like demeaning them, like as we said, we hold a lot of power there. And let's say they have 2 really good months in, and then they slip up, and you say, "I can't believe you did that. Like, you had a cheat meal. Like what's wrong with you?" or some other demeaning thing. And then before you know it, this person that they've trusted their literal physical and mental health to for the last whatever months is now shaming them. Oh man, then that's just going to start a downward spiral to kind of some really terrible stuff. You said to me when we first met, Mike, I said, what is your job? You said customer service. That was literally, like when I first met you, that was literally it in Austin. I was like, that is bang free. I was like, I'm going to like this guy a lot.
Yeah. And that's like, I'm super corny sometimes, but it really is like, that's what it is. Like, what's the difference between you guys and everybody else? We treat our people a little bit better. Like, that's how I think of it. Because everything's about experience. And just like I use the restaurant example a lot. If you go out to eat and you get a good meal, but the hostess is an asshole, the waiter's an asshole, the drink is messed up, like, it's not going to be a good experience. Yeah. It's everything. It's from first impression, onboarding, how you handle someone after they pay you, what happens when they're done. Like, I'm like a lunatic about it because there's so many areas of opportunity that I see in our business where I already think we're doing good, but I think so much we can do better.
And I think you kind of touched on something again, because you come from a very corporate background, and I did my years in that, still in bodybuilding, but in the sales side. And I remember I had this fucking terrible sales manager. The guy he was just a pariah. I don't think he ever said one intelligent thing in his life, but he had one piece of advice, and it was he told me, with every customer, he says, always do what you say. So if you promise something, make sure you deliver it. And his thing was, because then if you're a textbook overpromiser, you'll very quickly stop doing that shit, because you're always, you have to make up for these stupid promises you've made. So when I left that and got into coaching, it affected me there, because I'll never promise people, like, when they ask, will I lose 20 pounds in 12 weeks? Man, I don't know. Let's get going. Let's try,
Yeah, we get that question a lot. People reach out, well, what can I expect in 12 weeks? We're like, not really sure. It depends on a lot of factors. And they're like, well, what's the average? And I'm like, well, anywhere from 0 to 50. I don't know. Might fall in there somewhere.
Yeah. But the rub of that is that the industry thrives on people being decisive, having the answer. That's what kind of sells. So you're kind of bucking against the tide by being a little more honest that way, but it's the right thing to do.
Yeah, I forget what that quote was. It's something along the lines of don't promise something the night before that you're not going to deliver the next day, type of thing. Like, it's, if you're obvious, like, you talk a lot about going out and giving out business cards and everything else like that, Mike. Like, if you said to someone, hey, I will drop by with a a pamphlet of Stronger You tomorrow, and you don't follow through with that, that's immediately like a massive strike. Or if I say I'm going to email you tomorrow by noon and I don't, that's immediately going. I wouldn't hire that person, and I tell that. I told them people that. So we did an entire podcast on how to pick a coach, and there's so much of that, like between promptness, between following through with what they said they were going to do on time. It just matters so much.
There's so much to this that is just so far outside of fitness and nutrition that that's like my thing. I want people to understand that are getting into this field, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But like any good thing though, there's always a dark side to it. And so when you get somebody and you teach them these skills, or you learn these skills yourself about, time management and delay gratification and hard work and focus, and you achieve success, you get a better body, and then you apply it to your business and you make more money. Then it's very tempting to buy into this. Wow, I've figured out life. I'm a fucking guru. I'm a life coach now. I can apply these skills and be like Arnold and create this legacy. And it's just, there's limits to that,
Right.
Life coach is one of the more hilarious terms that's been bounced around right now.
I fucking get the time. It's so
I have this thought about life coach. Like, you better have a good relationship, a good career. Your credit better be awesome. You better have a lot of money in the bank. Like, if you're going to tell someone to be a life coach, you better be crushing it at life. And there's a lot of areas in life that most people aren't that great at.
Oh, I forgot. Ken Hill was talking about this on his Facebook wall, and it blew my mind. I love this. He's like, no one should be giving out relationship advice unless they have been married for 25 years plus and have been up and down and backed up and through the ringer, and now they can tell that. These people that are giving relationship advice purely based upon them getting dumped or broken up with and now what not to do, you have not had a successful relationship for 25 years. You should not be a relationship coach or all that. I was like, holy crap! Like you just said, like if you live to 50, you got money in the bank. Yeah, you've done this. You've accomplished 3 or 4 different life goals or what minimum, like these big blocks or whatever. I don't think you should be doing like I try to dip into that stuff enough. Like if I've read a book or whatever, I'll recommend the book. And so there's my life. The extent of my life coaching is here. Go read someone else that knows way more than me and tell me what you think about it, right? And that's the outsourcing thing we talked about, right? But being 33, I don't have enough experience. Like I could help out maybe an 18-year-old kid that wants to play football. Sure, I can give them my life experience and my things with that. But in terms of how to 10x and 40x and 50 million x their business, no, I'm not that guy.
I hate that so much, man. Mm-hmm. This whole 10x. Like, why don't you like 1x, 2x?
When I got into it was 6 times, and then it was 7, or like 7-figure 7, and then it was 8. But I think they skipped 9. I think it's gone right. Like it's 10 times your income now.
Yeah.
So like, what the fuck? Like 9 wasn't good enough. Like it was like 8 was dope, but 9 is like that's kind of shit. So we're gonna go right to 10.
Yeah, millennials, man, we got to jump over that. We got to hop to that 2 comma club immediately now. We want more commas. Yeah.
I'm going right to 11, man.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the industry is wild. It's I don't know. I feel bad sometimes because I think a lot of people get into it because they see other people do well, and they're like, well, I could do that too. It's like survivorship bias kicks in, and it's like the kids dropping out of college because Bill Gates did it. Like, no, man. Like, you're not going to do what he did.
No. And if you get into this very firmly, I can say this, getting into this industry as a coach or as a personal trainer, whatever, don't get into this for the money. Like, just because there are successful companies and whatever, especially if starting as a personal trainer, here's going to be your life for the next however many years. You're going to have a split shift starting from 8 until probably noon or 1, and now you're going to have to go back from about 4:30 till 8 at night, and that is going to be your life. And then in between there, you're going to be doing sales calls, and the gym is going to rip you off like crazy and probably take anywhere between 40 and 70% of your money that you are doing all the work for, and now you're a glorified salesperson, which that's cool. They can teach you sales training as long as you're not a sleazeball about it. But like I was at one point when I hit it, when I talked to my first business coach, who's also my buddy Jack, he said, can you go write down how many hours you work a week as a personal trainer? And I came back with him with 77. And he said, do you know how many hours my personal trainers work? 25 a week. You were working more than 3 times the amount of them. He's like, no wonder you're burnt out. I'm like, Jack, I'm starting to forget clients' names at nighttime that I've had for years because it's just, and even then I wasn't balling. just like I read, but that you have to get into this because, like you said, Mike, you not only really want to help people, but you really want to understand nutrition. You've done it yourself. You've got at least a couple points in your life have gotten into really damn good shape. Your life. I know, Brian, you said at one point, if you don't have abs, you shouldn't be giving out nutrition advice, or if you've never gotten abs or something like that, which is, it's a little bit aggressive, but to the point though, like not putting it down entirely, but if you haven't had some kind of transformation, or you haven't followed, like that's the whole walk the walk, talk the talk though, right? But yeah, between having customer service and then having done it yourself and having an interest in learning and teaching nutrition, you shouldn't be doing it.
Yeah, I think it's hard to describe, but I think there's, like, you have to look like you care and you can do the things you ask your clients to do. I don't think that means you have to look like The Rock or be completely like shredded, but you should be pretty fit, I think.
Yeah. Well, no, this is the comment, the disclaimer that the ab comment was just from Bryan. Like, I know why you said it was just an extremist thing, which was just funny. It's just basically saying if you don't practice nutrition, please don't coach nutrition. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, to me, it's not so much like, oh, look at the quality of his physique. It's more like, clearly this person has made it a priority. Like, clearly this person has found a way to weave this into their probably very full life. They probably got a spouse and children or whatever, education. They found a way to make it happen and get some level of result. So that makes them valuable. What they can teach you is valuable. That's so when I see an out of shape personal trainer, it's not like I'm judging him for that reason that he's out of shape. It's just like, you haven't figured it out. Mm-hmm. You haven't been able to put it all together to make it happen.
Mm-hmm. And I think like their clients are going to come up to them and say, "Hey, I got this shit going on. What do I do?" And they're going to tell them what they know they should be doing, but they're just not doing it. And that's tough because you're kind of like just lying to people, I think.
Oh, it is. That's when, yeah, I remember I competed twice, did terribly, but the reason why I competed is because now I can actually say I competed. And because in my line of work, when people haven't competed and they're coaching competitors, it almost seems like blasphemy to me in a weird way. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. And so how would I be able to tell someone what backstage is like and how to act backstage if I've never done that before at least once myself?
Yeah. Agreed.
All right. Well, guys, do you have anything else to add here? We're coming right up on 40 minutes.
I'm good, man. I love just hanging and talking.
Yeah, man. Bryan?
I'm good. I'm always.
Yeah, I know you're always having a delight. That's right. Well, everybody, thanks for tuning into the Bryan, Mike, and Marty special, and hopefully we'll get something going again here. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.